folks, and welcome back to another Friday Night Spotlight brought to you by Jones Ford Buick GMC, your hometown dealer for more than 50 years. We are nearing the end to the regular season for our smaller schools, but we're not quite there yet, just 1 or 2 more weeks left of that. However, our game of the week this week is a pretty big deal here in Pinal County, and it is in the 4A conference. It will be Apache Junction traveling down to Poston Butte. Both of these teams are, kind of bouncing back from some tough losses. Apache Junction just bounced back last week from their previous loss. They pretty much obliterated Kingman Lee Williams, and for Poston Butte, it was a rough one as they fell to Phoenix St. Mary's. David, what are you expecting in this matchup?
Well, before even the show started, we were talking about this is going to be one of the bigger games in the regular season that we have here in Pinal County. These are two of our top teams, both in the same region, who are both vying for that region title and have serious playoff hopes and could be championship contenders, in my view. I think both these teams are very good at what they do, and they play to their strengths. They're both really solid teams, and that's going to be a rivalry. These two teams definitely want to go at each other and prove who's the best one, and there's still so many storylines going into this game. I'm glad you mentioned that Apache Junction's last game, they played Lee Williams. That one had a little bit of an extra twist to it because Lee Williams was the team that bounced Apache Junction out of the playoffs last year in the first round, so I think that they definitely went into that game thinking they wanted to make a statement, that they're a different team than they were last year, and they certainly proved that. A 45-12 win, so AJ is doing a great job there, and Poston Butte coming off that game against St. Mary's, it was tough for them. The defense looked good at times, but they just weren't able to do enough to be able to get an edge there. The running game still looked really good, but then they're still dealing with a new quarterback who's a senior in Max Larson. They're coming off of having Drew Dalmasio for being their guy for a long time, and Max Larson is still trying to learn the ropes a little bit. He's still making some mistakes here and there, but he's still been fairly solid for them, so I expect him to be a huge piece of this game. And their running game is still stacked. Their running game has always been, Poston Butte's calling card with guys like Aiden Contreras and Gavin Thrower now kind of leading the charge and being at the helm of that, stacked running back room they seem to always have year in and year out. So that's going to be the question for me, is the running game for Poston Butte. If they're able to get it going, is AJ going to be able to stop them? We saw them when they last played at home against Coconino from Flagstaff, how they were not able to stop the run. Coconino was a very stout run team, and Apache Junction had a very tough time getting to that and dealing with that. So I want to see if they made any changes to it, and if they're able to kind of counteract and have good run defense, because Poston Butte is going to stick to what they do, and that is run the ball. So I honestly don't know who to pick in this one, but for me, I think if AJ is able to keep that defense, have that run defense that they need to, and able to have their strong offense with guys like Gavin Lamangelo and Garrett Garcia and Isaiah Savoy, they'll be able to do just fine. So I'm going to take Apache Junction in this one to win on the road, but it should be a fun one either way for whoever wins.
David mentioned it with Poston Butte's run game. The thing here is they're really good at it, and because they're really good at it, they can eat up a lot of clock. So looking at Apache Junction, the thing here is going to be when they are able to get the ball on offense, what can they do? David mentioned that Coconino game. Coconino did a really solid job of containing quarterback Gavin Lamangelo. If Poston Butte is able to somewhat replicate what Coconino did against Apache Junction, it's going to be a very difficult night. If not, then hey, we know what these prospectors can do with their three-headed monster with Lamangelo, running back Isaiah Savoy, and Garrett Garcia. Defensively, I'm looking at guys like Dane Fiddler, Tavon Franco to come up big and try to slow down Poston Butte's run game. And then for the Broncos, we got to talk about two guys in Ja'Kai Robertson and Bobby Guyton. Gaitan does a tremendous job of getting through opposing lines and just putting pressure on the quarterbacks and the running backs in the backfield. And then Robertson, if the Broncos do start wearing down the offensive line for their opponents, Ja'Kai Robertson is going to be there in the backfield. He's going to be waiting for those mistakes, and he's going to make you pay. Like David mentioned it, this is pretty much a difficult game to kind of pinpoint, which team has the upper hand here, because while they're so different in their offensive styles, they're really good at what they do, both of them. So you know what? We're going to have to wait and see how this one turns out. David, is there anything else you want to add?
Well, yeah, I think, like you said, this is good. Like I said, this is going to be a really big game for for these two teams because they're in the same division. This division is stacked. It's one of the best divisions in 4A. A lot of teams in that division are looking to have that edge and be a championship contender. And this game will tell us a lot of who's going to be able to kind of take that charge and make that leap towards that region title. So whoever comes out victorious in this one is definitely going to have an edge when it comes to getting even later into the season and into playoffs. So it's going to be a fun one to watch. I wish I was going to be able to be out there to see it, but whoever wins, it's definitely going to be a good one, and we'll see what happens in the future after this game.
Real quickly, I do have to point out, we are filming this before the first AIA power rankings come out, so we really don't know which team is ranked above the other one here. Transitioning over, we are back to our normal schedule with our what to watch. David, what other game do you have your eye on?
I got another Santan Valley team. I got Combs going up against Benjamin Franklin this week. They play on Thursday, so this one is a little bit earlier, so it's not a usual Friday Night Lights kind of game for us. But, Combs has had a pretty solid season. They're on a 2-game win streak right now, and, it all starts and stops with quarterback Tanner Hale, like we mentioned many times. And he's had a very good, solid senior season so far. He's thrown for 877 yards, 11 passing touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. In the early parts of the season, I think they were still trying to figure out, their offense with new head coach Levi Hoagland, and I think they finally figured it out. He's definitely done better at protecting the ball and making solid passes, and he's definitely, been a better job for them. And he's had a great senior year. So, and he's also running the ball really well at the same time. He's got 410 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground. So he, like I said, he's the first and foremost the guy that they want to look towards on offense, and they definitely, use him to his advantages. So it's going to be a good game. And Benjamin Franklin comes in at only 1-4. So this is definitely a good spot for them to kind of make that leap in their own division as well. They have a lot of teams in there that are really solid right now. We have Chandler Arizona College Prep. We have Marcos Deniza, who those teams are kind of the 1 and 2 right now in that division in 4A. So Combs, if they can keep the winning streak going, they have a good chance of kind of trying to take that leap towards that region title and even possibly a playoff spot if they're lucky. So we'll see if they can keep riding on making sure that they have their guys in Tanner Hale and his weapons on offense. And if the defense holds up, they have a good chance here. I like Combs on this one. I'm going to take them to win and keep that winning streak going.
All right, now my what to watch, continuing on in the Santan Valley area, is going to be Santan Foothills. We mentioned it all season long. This is a very improved Santan Foothills. They are going to be traveling up to Phoenix Shadow Mountain. The Matadors have dropped down a conference. They used to be 4A, now they're 3A, and it's going a bit better for them. Both of these teams are currently 4-3, but the thing about this Foothills team is I feel like they kind of have that mentality that while they might be down in some games, they're never. Let me retry that. While they might be down in some games, they're never out. And this is a true testament to their last game. They had a bye week last week, but before that, they played Coolidge. They were down at halftime, and then they came back and won it. A big key for that is their defense. Guys like Bo Cotherman and Elijah Fields, they lead the team in tackles. Fields has 11 tackles for a loss. As a team, these SaberCats have 8 sacks for 30 yards, 10 interceptions for 145 yards, and 10 fumble recoveries for 65 yards. Now, this is going to be a big thing here because Shadow Mountain is a young team. They're pretty much led by sophomores right now offensively with quarterback Cason Williams and running back Tavares Allen. It's going to be interesting to see just how these SaberCats come off of this bye week. As we've mentioned it before, this could be a curse or a blessing. It can help you out as far as healing, getting that rest, but also, it could cause maybe some rust of having that week off, not having that full-on competition. So we're going to have to wait and see how this one also turns out. David, is there anything else you would like to add?
I'm just glad that we're back to kind of a full schedule. We had a little bit of a break last week with with most of our teams being on bye weeks, but now we're kind of back to our full schedule with a lot of games to cover. But for our smaller schools that's coming down to the wire for them, they got to get some wins quick if they want to have a chance at playoff spots. And for our bigger schools, they still got some time, but it's definitely coming down to the wire. We're getting towards an end of a great year of football in Pinal County, so let's look forward and see what we got the rest of the year.
All right, real quickly, here are our picks. David is slowly creeping up in there. We will wait and see. Is this the week he finally takes over or not? Either way, be sure to check out Pinal Central for all of your football game coverage and be sure to tune in next week.